It's been a while since I played the hero behind the sword and shield known as Greystone. With the recent patch rework providing him with the new deflect passive, he has still come to prove as a monster in the offlane. And that is exactly what this build is going to showcase. Greystone has a really big strength when it comes to split pushing, invading jungle, harassing, and overall just being an excellent harass and offlane hero. A lot of people tend to stray away from Greystone when they go in the draft lobby because a lot of people think he doesn't provide much when it comes to team fights. And that is true to an extent, but any good bruiser or any good tank can still dish out a fair amount of damage if they're able to last within a team fight. So avoiding a Greystone in a team fight is not always the best option, but it is definitely a good strategy to counter Greystone. But when I play Greystone, I don't focus on team fighting. I focus on split pushing lanes, invading jungle, taking green buff, and providing excellent lane pressure for my allies to be able to do raptors, to give them room to do prime, to give them room to provide themselves to get picks, while the enemy offlaner or support and carry have to deal with me as Greystone. Greystone is definitely a durable hero, and we exemplify that in this build. And hopefully this build will amplify other good offlaner who's like running Greystone. If you're beginning to play in the offlane, Greystone is definitely a top tier choice when it comes to being in the offlane. A lot of these clips you're going to see in the background is not so much team fights like I said, but split pushing, invading jungle, hitting the Amber Link, and CXP deprivation from invading the jungle is a strong strategy that a lot of people don't know how to deal with and a lot of people struggle to come back with. Simply being out-farmed in itself is something you can't outplay, but it's just pure statistics and stats, and it's a lot harder to come back from that. So that's something that Greystone excels, and hopefully this build will help you do that. So this is top tier builds where we go from the early game to the mid game and to the late game. I break it down, I show you why I pick the certain cards I choose here with Greystone, and I show you why he's called the split push god. So before we get into the build, you already know what it is. We gotta go to the utility. So what is it that you're gonna run as your prime card? It's gonna be my favorite prime card that I always run in all my bruisers and my tanks, and that is the Centurion. The Centurion provides you with extra health to yourself and to your nearby minions, making it harder for the enemies to take you down and to take down your minions when you're split pushing a lane. We're also going to be running a guard token, a health potion, a healer token, and also an awesome card known as Empyrean's Mask. Empyrean Mask is a unique active. You can cycle between 24 points of power, or you can cycle between 16 points of basic armor and 12 points of ability armor, or you can cycle between 1.2 mana regen. Now this comes into play as one of my first cards. It's situational though. If I have 4 points on my first back, I will pick up Empyrean's Mask. If I don't have 4 points, then I'm going to pick up the next cards that I'm going to showcase here in the early game. So for my early game cards, I'm going to pick up a Madstone Gem. You already know, you already saw it coming. Madstone Gems is tradition when it comes to Fury heroes most of the time. So we're going to pick those up. So we're going to put 3 minor power, making it a 5-point card. Again, our second card is going to be another Madstone Gem, making it a 5-point card as well. 3 minor powers. You could get your Empyrean Mask and these 2 Madstone Gems if you wish. I've done it before and I've done it just fine with it. Or you could just build your Madstone Gems and forget about your Empyrean Mask. It's really up to you. Again, if I have 4 points on my first back, I will pick up Empyrean's Mask. If I only have 2 or 3 points, I will pick up my Madstone Gem so I can have some power when I go back to base. But that's situational and it's really up to you. As your third card, we're going to pick up a Guardian's Ward. And your Guardian's Ward, go ahead and put 3, 2, 1 health. However, disclaimer, don't build up your health yet. just get your ward so you can get that vision and that 1 point of power and that 1 point of health. So now we're going to be moving on to the mid game. Now the mid game's a little situational, and honestly there's no certain order of which I have found myself to build on, but I always tend to build my power cards first before I build some other situational cards that I have implemented into the deck. One of the first cards that I usually pick up in the mid game is my Wind Carver Blade. Our Wind Carver Blade is going to provide us with extra power to be able to split push more effectively. In our Wind Carver Blade, we put a 3 major kinetic, a 2 power, and a 1 power, making it a 9-point card. Now, usually, as you have seen in the thumbnail, I have 2 decks and I switch between both of them. Usually in the beginning of the game, I decide whether I use the first deck or the second deck. This first deck that I'm showing you is usually a deck that I find myself picking the most, hence why I'm showing you this as the main build. The reason why is because we have Thick Blood. Thick Blood is a 4-point card. We put a 3 power and a 2 power, making it a 9-point card. Thick Blood, on hit with ability, apply Blight to enemies for 4 seconds. Blight reduces all healing by 40%. This is especially good to counter heroes like FaZe, Narbash, Chimera, and Rampage, who are building a lot of health regen, a lot of sustain, and with Thick Blood, that's a direct counter. You can shut down that healing by 40%. Now, your next card can be up to you. You could either decide to build up your Guardian's Ward, like I mentioned in the early game, with the 3-2-1 health, or you can pick up your Radiant's Mantle. Radiant's Mantle is a 6-point card. We throw a 3 health in there, making it a 9-point card. Radiant Mantle provides you with a unique passive called Radiate. What does Radiate do? Radiate provides a tick damage aurora around your hero. Radiate deals 12 points of ability damage plus 1.5 times your player level of ability damage added on to those 12 points of ability damage. So around level 15, you're dealing around, which is 35 or 40 ability damage per second in an AoE. I'm not sure, but it's around there from what I've seen in my gameplay. But Radiant Mantle is especially good combined with your Make Way ability. Combined with this, Greystone can split push and clear through minion waves really quickly, again providing that lane pressure and map control for your allies, and just providing you with that extra utility to push through a lane quickly, combined with his Make Way ability. Radiant's Mantle is also good on Greystone. It has really good synergy because in a team fight, usually Greystone is one of the last heroes to go down, and if you can last within the team fight for a long time, especially complemented with the other stats that we show here in the late game, you can deal lots of damage with Radiant Mantle, along with his Make Way ability to multiple heroes. If you can simply just stay close to an enemy, you can chunk them down pretty good with that Radiant Mantle card. Even if they decide to ignore you, you could just be chunking away slowly, and over time it will stack and you will be doing more than like 500 damage with this card to multiple heroes, which is really good, especially with Greystone since he has his second life, which is his ultimate. So now we're going to move on to the late game. So in the mid game, if you decided to build up your Radiant Mantle first, then in the late game, build up the health that you have in your ward. If you decided to build your ward first in the mid game, then go ahead and build up your Radiant Mantle in the late game. It depends on what you have built. Usually I pick my Radiant Mantle and then I build the health of my ward, and then my next cards are my defensive cards, which is my Tuned Barrier and my Tempered Plate. In both of these I put 3 points of armor, another 3 points of armor, and then a 3 points of health, making them 12-point cards of Barrier and Guard. So this is basically the final build, being your Wind Carver Blade, your Guardian's Ward, your Thick Blood, Radiant Mantle, Tempered Plate, and your Tuned Barrier. That is the final build at 60 CXP. However, we also have 3 other situational cards that we have thrown into this deck just to be there, just in case you need them. Those 3 situational cards are Honor the Pure, We throw a 3 health in there, making it a 9-point card. Honor the Pure is a good utility card for a lot of order bruisers like Quang as well. This provides you some utility for your team, especially in a team fight. You can provide your team with a team shield. We also have Purity Sensor. We throw a 1 point of health in there, again making it a 9-point card. Purity Sensor is really good to counter Phase's Blind. It's also good to counter Aurora, any other hero that provides a lot of debuffs, stuns, roots, or anything like that. Any sort of debuff that can be applied to your team, you will get a cleanse with that, an AoE cleanse for yourself and for your team. And we also have Thermal Bond as well with another 1 point of health, again making it a 9-point card. Yeah, I've used Thermal Bond before in my other decks. It's a good anti-crowd control deck, so you get health regen when you get stunned, rooted, or knocked up. So we have those 3 cards for situations in which we can replace other cards with. I usually replace my Wind Cover Blade or my Radiant Mantle or my Thick Blood if I want to make room for one of these cards. It's really up to you to decide if you need these cards. Most of the time I like keeping all these cards like my Radiant Mantle, my Thick Blood, and my Wind Cover Blade, but sometimes you might find yourself that you need these cards, like maybe if they have a lot of crowd control, then you might need Thermal Bond. Or if you're in a lot of team fights, you find yourself in a lot of team fights, like you're rotating a lot, then maybe Purity Sensor or Honor the Pure might be a good choice. But like I've mentioned in the beginning of the video, Greystone doesn't necessarily shine the most when it comes to team fights. Yes, he does put in work and he can still provide a powerful asset with his kit in a team fight, but he shines the most and has the most strengths when it comes to aggressively split pushing a lane, providing lane pressure and map control for your allies, invading jungle, providing that CXP deprivation to the enemy team, and harassing enemies in lane and in 1v1 situations as well. You can really chunk people and challenge people, especially if you're ahead of CXP, because it's really hard to 1v1 a Greystone most of the time. And hopefully this build helps anybody who's trying to get into the offlane role, especially as Greystone in particular. But anyway, this is my build with Thick Blood. I have another build that doesn't include Thick Blood, which I'm going to show you right now. Now, my second build doesn't have Thick Blood because sometimes I'm not going to need it and Thick Blood is not going to be helpful for me. Sometimes they're not going to have a Narbash. They're not going to have a Chimera or a Phase or any sort of healing on their team, so Thick Blood is not going to be really useful to me. So I'm also going to show you my second build, which is called my full Bruiser offlane build. So now I'm going to show you my second build, which doesn't include Thick Blood. This was the main build that I just showed you right now. This one has that Thick Blood, and it also has those 3 flex cards, Thermal Bond, Honor the Pure, and Purity Sensor, and this one has that Thick Blood. But anyways, we're gonna go to the other build, which is the full Bruiser build, which doesn't include Thick Blood, which is this one, Offlane Greystone full Bruiser. Now this one is a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing. This one, you have a guard token, a health potion, a strike token, and a healer token, and Empyrean's Mask. Your first early game cards are Mad Stone gems with minor powers in them as well. Then the only difference is you go into these 2 Wind Cover Blades during the mid game. In the Wind Cover Blades, you put a 3 power, a 2 kinetic, and a 1 power, making them 9-point cards. Both of these are the same formula, 3 power, 2 kinetic, 1 power. And then after that, I like building up my Guardian's Ward, 3, 2, 1 health. Then we go into our Radiant Mantle, another 3 health in there, making it a 9-point card. Then we have Tempered Plate, 3 guard, 3 guard, 3 health, Tomb Barrier, 3 barrier, 3 barrier, and 3 health. Basically the same idea, we just don't have Thick Blood. We have more power with Wind Cover Blades as well. So these builds are both in the description below if you want to take a look at them in depth. But it's basically the same thing. This one only has 2 flex cards. It doesn't have 3. In this one, I included Purity Sensor and Thermal Bond, but you can also include other flex cards in which you might favor a little bit more. For example, if I want Toxigel instead of Thermal Bond, I can go ahead and get Toxigel and then a 3 health, making it a 9-point card. Or if I want to get rid of Purity Sensor and I want to get rid of some of these little cards here, I can go ahead and make like a Quenching Scales. I can make a Quenching Scales with with more power in them as well, making it a 9-point card or something. So you can make whatever kind of flex cards you want to make on them, and it's basically up to you what flex cards you want to have. But I'm gonna keep it simple here, and I'm gonna put my purity sensor that I had initially, which was with a 1 health in there, and then providing myself with those that guard token or that health potion just in case I get 1 point when I back. But it's basically up to you and whatever you want to build it up to. So those are the 2 builds, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, in the beginning of a match, decide if you need thick blood. If you need thick blood, roll with this one. If you don't need thick blood, then I recommend running with that full Bruiser build that doesn't have thick blood. But anyways, guys, it's your boy Raptors. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. Leave a like if you did, and I'll see you guys on Paragon.